The city is filled with amazing Coast Salish art, and so much of it reflects the life on the water. Well, soon a unique studio tour is going to open in Falls Creek. The Blue Cabin is going to host a variety of local artists and residents, and that all gets underway August 25th. Well, Vanessa Kwan is the program director of the Grunt Gallery. That's one of the partners in this project. Hello and welcome.
Hello, Gloria.
This is such a cool idea. Tell us more about this Blue Cabin concept.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the Blue Cabin is many things, but as you said in the intro, it is this summer, it will be a floating artist residency that will take place in Falls Creek.
Well, okay, and what happens inside this floating Blue Cabin?
Primarily it will be an artist residence, so the Blue Cabin itself, and I can go into the history of that a little later, but the Blue Cabin itself will be a studio for artists to use, and then adjacent to that is a deck house. So it's a 500 square foot beautiful deck house that artists will be able to live in. So it's actually a live-aboard residencies where artists will spend 6 to 8 weeks making work in conversation with the city.
I love, and the public is able to just go tour through it for free.
That is right. During the residencies, the public doesn't have access, but we will be doing a concentrated amount of public tours and open studios. And the first one is on August 25th.
Okay, so give us a little bit of a history of the Blue Cabin.
Yeah, for sure. So the Blue Cabin is a historic shack that was located, it was built actually in Cole Harbour as a float home back in 1927 by someone we only know as the Norwegian. So he was a Norwegian shipbuilder. He built it over in Cole Harbour, and then in 1932 it was barged over to North Vancouver at Kate's Park on Tsleil-Waututh territory. And there it sat for the better part of 100 years. It was there until 2014. And it was host to a lot of different people. It's essentially resisted ownership for all of its time on the foreshore as part of a lot of different communities that were referred to as squatters communities. And through the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and up until 2014, it was a residence for Al Neal and Carol Itter, who are two beloved local artists.
Wow, so what's the significance then of it being in Falls Creek at the Plaza of First Nations?
Well, the Blue Cabin became a news story back in 2014 when it was evicted from the foreshore, when the adjacent lot was sold for condos. And so at that time, 3 arts organizations came together to try and save this cabin. And so what really was a kind of heritage concern at that time, and something that was very much about the arts community, became something with a wider cultural mandate. And the arts organizations, Ground C3 and other sites for artist projects, decided that it should always be a home for artists. It should always be a place where we can encourage exploration and where we can encourage a kind of creativity and curiosity around the waterways around this city and this region. And so the idea was born to put it back on the water and to make it a resource for the public and artists to engage with this history and engage with all of those creative, beautiful things.
I love it. And there's kind of there's a decolonization aspect to this as well, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, it was always critical for the organizing collective in our thinking to think about this is unceded territory. In any place that we want to consider as ask questions or look at the way the city was built and consider all the histories of this place has to begin with the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh, who of course have stewarded these lands and waters since time immemorial. And so we wanted to begin with that, with a conversation with artists from those nations, and hopefully continue that throughout our future.
Okay, but to start things off, who are some of the artists that will be in residence at the Blue Cabin?
Yeah, so we're working with our 3 first local residents will be Deborah Sparrow from Musqueam, Janice George and Buddy Joseph from the Squamish Nation, and Angela George, who is Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh, and they're all weaving artists. So our entire first year has a weaving focus.
Oh, so what can you tell me about the state of weaving in those nations today?
I'm definitely not an expert, but I have been a great admirer of the kind of resurgent practice and the commitment that First Nations colleagues and artists have had in this resurgent practice. So it's a practice that was, for many reasons because of colonization, lost to many community members, and now they're doing some incredibly hard work led by people like Deborah Sparrow, like Janice and Buddy George, and like Angela George, who are really bringing this back into community and doing deep research and beautiful intergenerational workshops and education opportunities to try and bring these like critical art practices back into the public eye.
I love the fact that the public is going to have free access to some of this at times, as you say, organized tours at times. What do you hope people take away from it?
I hope overall people really see the history of this incredible place, see the capacity of the art community and the wider cultural community to really engage with these complex histories and to ask really interesting questions and to provide a lot of opportunity to explore. So that's what I'm hoping the public will see.
I can't wait to hear more about it. It all gets underway August 25th. Vanessa, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.